Hello friends, now we can continue our discussion based on the salient features of the English class. See, what's your opinion about the classroom management? You know that an English teacher may face a number of issues in the classroom. The learners also face a lot of academic issues in the classroom. How these issues are solved by the teachers and the students. And you know that these issues need to be solved in a very democratic way. Therefore, we can say that one of the salient features of a constructivist English classroom is that the academic issues faced by the learners in the classroom and the academic issues faced by the teachers in the classroom are solved through the sharing and negotiation. See, now we can think about the assessments and evaluation. You know, our assessment strategy is a continuous and comprehensive assessment. You know about the assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. In our system, the self-assessment is very important. That means the learners need to find out their mistakes. They have to correct their mistakes. Then what is the duty of an English teacher? An English teacher needs to provide enough opportunities for the children to realize their mistakes and to correct their own mistakes. And therefore, we can fix another feature of an English class is that the students get the opportunity to realize their own mistakes and correct it. See, what about the group activities? So why the teacher provide a number of group activities in the classroom? What's the pedagogical reference behind that? See, we follow the cooperative learning and collaborative learning. That in the cooperative learning means the learners learn in a cooperative way. In the collaborative learning, each and every learner learn himself or herself, and after that they share their products in the group. See, for example, they collect information from various sources individually and they complete their assignment individually. So after this individual work, after the completion of this individual work, they conduct a group discussion and they refine their works based on the discussion in the group. But we know that the social constructivism says that the learning happens in a social setting. And therefore, we can conclude another feature of a typical English class is that the children learn through sharing, engaging in debates, group activities, etc. See, what happens to the products of the children? That means the learning products of the children. You know that the learners develop a number of products. So they develop letters, diaries, stories, poems, screenplay, portfolio, a number of linguistic discourses. So actually they refine their own linguistic discourses, and then their product is a fine product is developed after the refinement. You know that what's the process happens in the classroom? That means at first, after providing the work by the teacher, the first step is the individual writing, then random presentation, then grouping, then discussion in the group. Then after that, the editing happens in the classroom, the presentation of the teacher's version, the refinements by the learners. So all these things happens. So after that, the refined work by the learner, that means the refined work will go through sometimes it go through the big book, or sometimes it go through that means My English Words, and sometimes it go through the class magazine. So anyway, this material is reused in the classroom. So now we can come to another feature of English class. That's our conclusion, is that the products of learning are refined and reused in the classroom. Then friends, what about the thinking style of the learners? That means what type of thinking is promoted in an English classroom? See, we promote creativity. That means only divergent thinking leads to creativity. And therefore the teacher needs to promote only divergent thinking in the English class. See, we know that after reading a passage, the teacher can ask a question, who is Mahatma Gandhi? Then what happens? The only one answer is possible for this particular question. That's Mahatma Gandhi is the father of the nation. So if only one answer is possible for a particular question, what happens? No thinking is needed. That means the thought process of the learner is saturated here. No divergent thinking happens. So this is a fixed response question. So another type of questions are the free response questions. So after giving a particular passage, or after giving a particular context, or after telling a particular story, the teacher can ask a question, what happened next? For this is a free response question. For this question, a number of answers are possible. Therefore, the students think and put forward a number of answers. Variety of answers are possible. Here, the thought process of the child is not saturated. Their brain works, brainstorming happens, they try to put forward variety of answers. That means, after giving a context, if the teacher gives such a question, that means that the teacher is promoting the divergent thinking of the students. That means the teacher is triggering the creativity of the students. Now we can conclude another feature of this effective English class is that opportunities are provided for the learner for divergent thinking and expressing their views. See, in most of our teacher training programs, we use a classical example of a child who sells groundnuts in the column beach. Do you remember that case? I may remind you. That means Shyam is MA Beard, MA English, Beard English. He can read English newspapers. He can write letters in English, but he is not able to speak the English language very fluently. Case number 2, Babu is a child, only 10 years old. He sells peanuts in the column beach. He is able to speak the English language very, very fluently. Okay, what's the difference between these two cases? Babu is only a child. He has not gone to any particular school. He is able to speak the English language. But that person is Shyam, he is MA English, he is Beard English, but he is not able to speak the English language very fluently. Here, what happens that particular child to learn the language? We use the term that means that child did not learn the language, he acquired the language. He acquired the language in a free situation. He acquired the language from a fearless situation. There exists a free situation in the column B. There exists a fearless situation in the column B. That there is no teacher with a stick in her hand to correct the mistakes committed by the child in the column B. That means he used the language in a very, very fearless way, in a free way. Moreover, he got an opportunity to listen good English there. He got an opportunity to express himself in English in a free way. That means there exists an acquisition-rich environment in the column B. So is it possible to provide such an acquisition-rich environment in the English classroom? Yes. The teacher needs to provide such a free, fearless environment in the English classroom. And therefore we can come to another feature of a constructivist English classroom is that the English classroom, the learning environment should be free, fearless, and non-conscious. See, now we can think about the very important part of the English language acquisition. That means the inner language competence of the learner. Do you believe that all the learners have the inner language competence? Who put forward the theory? Have you heard about the universal grammar? Do you think that the grammar of all the languages in the world is the same? So Chomsky and his followers believe in the universal grammar theory. He put forward a theory of a language acquisition device, that human beings are genetically endowed with this language acquisition device. That means, in his own words, that means Chomsky's own words, he says that, in his own words, a rational Martian scientist may reasonably conclude that there is a single language in the universe. ചൊവ്വാഗ്രഹത്തിൽ നിന്നും ഒരു ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞൻ ഭൂമിയിലേക്ക് വരികയാണെങ്കിൽ അദ്ദേഹം ഭൂമിയിൽ ഒറ്റ ഭാഷയേ ഉള്ളൂ എന്ന് റിപ്പോർട്ട് നൽകും. That means the outer manifestations of the languages are different, but the inner language is the same. That means the human beings are born with this language element. That's what Chomsky says, that human beings are genetically endowed with a language system. And the acquisition of the language is the unfolding of this innate system. This inner language competence is very, very important. He says that a particular name, he gives a particular name for this, that is the language acquisition device. All the human beings have this language acquisition device. It's the duty of the teacher is to trigger the inner language competence of the students. How the teacher will trigger the inner language competence of the students? The teacher need to provide such activities, the learning activities, the free, fearless learning environment in the classroom to trigger the inner language competence of the learners. You know that so one of the salient feature of the English classroom is that the teacher need to provide enough opportunities for the learner to trigger their inner language competence. So all these are the salient features of the English language classroom. Thank you.